everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And this week we're jumping into part 2 of Queen of Shadows, chapters 19 through 37. Very excited. Some juicy stuff happens this week that I'm excited to jump into. Also, I'm going to apologize in advance when we are picking the chapters for this week. I didn't actually necessarily read each one in particular, and I wish we had not landed on 37 to end. It ends on a pretty sad note, so I'm just gonna put that out there now so that it's not a shock when we come to it. But I'm I was reading through the chapters, putting together the outline. I almost kept going. And I was like, oh crap, that was 37. Are you kidding me? This is how this is going to end. So we'll try and make light of it and make it end on a happier note. But yeah, I'm just going to, fair warning now, when we say we're done, I'm not kidding. It's probably going to be a bad ending. And we're just going to pause there. But
Suspense is good. We like suspense.
Exactly. If you are following along on our Hot Goss episodes, we released one this week that was a lot of fun. We talked about different characters throughout all of Sarah's series that have supposedly died, but we talked about why we think they actually are dead and or could still be alive. Warning for that, if you haven't listened to it, we do talk about literally every single book that she has written. So if you haven't read every book in all her series, don't listen to that one yet, because there absolutely will be spoilers. But if you have, it's a fun take, a fun listen. We talk about different theories we've seen online, our thoughts on them, and we add in a little bit of our own thoughts on there as well. So go ahead and take a listen to that if you haven't already. And if you don't follow us yet on Instagram, please do. It's at L.A.M.E Book Club Pod. Same thing on YouTube. Subscribe there. And if you could and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we would be eternally grateful. So yeah, got our housekeeping done. Nice. I think. Anything else you want to add,
our
Ellie?
plug as well?
Yes.
No, since we have a shorter outline though, how was your week this week?
Oh, it was good. Work was really busy for me this week, and also my 4-year-old got a little tummy bug. And it was sad. It's her first stomach virus ever, and it broke. I think it hurt me more than it hurt her. Obviously not physically, but emotionally, and it was really sad. But I mean, honestly, I think probably the fact that she's just so young, she bounced back once she was done, and then slept for a night. She bounced back real quick. So that's nice. That helped.
When I get a tummy bug, I'm gone for 30 days. Just don't speak to me.
Oh, it's so funny. I used to hate the word tummy, but now I think it's funny.
Yeah. I was going to get gross for a second, but I won't, because Please don't. The internet.
How was your week?
Good. I decided I am going to get bangs, so in a couple weeks, be watching on Spotify or YouTube, because it's going to be a new me. And
new bangs,
you're
going
to be who's that girl? I thought it was supposed to be Melissa and
Ellie.
That is Ellie. She has bangs.
Who's the girl with the bangs that Melissa's talking to?
Who's that hot girl with bangs? It's me.
And I just think that every girl goes through this where they are oh no, I'm not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, no, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I just need everyone to know that Ellie has been literally going back and forth for 2 years about this.
It's true.
And I think she's gonna look great, but I'm calling it right now. I think Ellie's gonna hate it. And I told her that, but she's doing it anyway.
I have had bangs in the past, and I did not hate them.
Every time you're I regret this.
No, I did regret it, but I did not hate them. But I only regretted it because I like to, I don't know if you're watching now, I like to wear my hair natural 95% of the time. Rarely do I actually do it. And so with bangs, you have to do them every day. Yeah. And that was just not working for me. But now I think I'm in a stage of life where I'm ready to accept the responsibility of doing my bangs. So
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to accept the responsibility.
You're taking care of a 4-year-old, and I am preparing to cut my hair. Different seasons, but important, I think.
But important nonetheless. Honestly, I love the way you worded that. You're ready to take the responsibility of taking care of the pigs. Oh wow, that was way funnier than I was expecting.
Small steps for each of us. Yeah, we live different lives. Everyone's on a journey.
Small step for Ellie, one giant step for womankind. So
yeah. All right,
awesome.
So that was my week.
That was fun.
My whole week.
My whole week was about bangs.
Just sitting on the couch, fingers crossed, contemplating haircuts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will also want to caveat when I said I think you're going to hate it. I did not mean that I don't think they will look good. I do. It was more the regret. And that's based
just
on
to clarify,
past experience.
I knew what Melissa meant, but I think all of you need to know what Melissa meant.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Thank you,
now
Ellie. Thank you,
Now you're
Internet.
in the friendship. You get it.
All right, cool. Ellie, let's jump in on chapter 19. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. So at the end of 18, kind of where we left off, the last one was on a high note. Aelin got Aedion, and they had escaped the glass castle, or were on their way out. So then here comes chapter 19. Dorian, a.k.a. the Valg prince inside him, stops them in the garden of the castle. He attacks, but is frozen by a word mark that Aelin has sketched in the dirt. She asks Dorian to give her a sign that he is still present, but when he doesn't, she raises the sword of Orinth to kill him, quote, for Terrasen and for their future.
Pause.
However,
Did you think she was going to do it?
Yeah, I did.
I did not. Interesting.
No, I totally did.
Continue.
Because here's why. I know Kale wanted her not to with like every fiber of her being, and even like tried to make her promise that she wouldn't. But no one understands what Dorian is going through better than her. She literally came in contact with the Valg. Kale has like I think he's not surprised by it and everything, but like he doesn't know it as well as she has. She has felt the depths of despair from being in their presence and being like trying to like take over and everything. And so she knows what Dorian's going through. And so she was trying to, like, that's what she was testing to see how much of him was still there, because she knows if she wasn't all there, she would want someone to kill her. So I think she was fully prepared to do it. 100%.
I think that leads me to the next question then. Have you ever had that conversation of like, if you got put on life support, like, would you pull the plug? Would you ask your husband to pull the plug, or would you stay? Not would you pull the plug on someone else, but would you ask them to pull it on you?
No, because okay, I know this is a very serious thing, but we can't have this conversation because I ask him dumb stuff like, would you still love me if I'm a worm, all the time, that when it comes to be like, if I'm on death, like, would you kill me if I was a vegetable, like, or would you pull the plug if I asked you to? He's just like, Melissa, stop, because it's the same in his mind
same
as
energy.
the worm. Yeah. So I've ruined that conversation for us, and we cannot have it.
Not this topic, but Grant is like super bent on he's going to cremate me when I die, and I don't want to be cremated because
why?
I don't want to. I want to be buried or donated to science to help others. And he was like, no, doesn't matter. You will be cremated. And I was like, no, like, this is my dying wish. Do not cremate me. He's like, you can't wish for anything if you're dead. You're going to be cremated. And then he was talking like to my whole family, and my whole family, we're all sitting in a room. They're like, I don't want to be cremated. And he's like, doesn't matter. I will cremate all of you. Cremated, cremated, cremated. And we're like, no. And he's like, I'm going to outlive all of you. I'm certain on that. He's like, you will all be cremated. So catch us all in jars on Grant's mantle one day.
I like the donating for science thing, but I don't understand why you don't want to be cremated. Like, you're not using it anymore. Who cares?
Me. I just don't like the idea of being dusty, I think.
Okay, honestly, that is the only answer I will accept, to be honest.
Forever ashy?
No, thank you. So here's my plan now that you bring that up. I want to be cremated because I think it's stupid expensive for no reason to be buried. I am an organ donor, so I would like take all my organs first, do everything you need to, but then I'm like, don't bury me Like, it's just gonna rot anyways. Like, you're gonna be dusty at some point.
I'm low maintenance. I don't even need them to buy anything extravagant. And this is why I was just laughing, because I was thinking, like, not if you do it just in your yard, just like a 2-foot hole.
There's no way. That is not legal. That cannot happen.
The rain will wash away the dirt, and I'll surface to
get arrested. Because a body is in your yard. Because of a
budget. We're in a tight budget. Let him bury me in the yard.
They're going to be putting him in shackles. He's like, I swear, she's just cheap. No. Literally,
the HOA
it doesn't matter.
Surrounds to watch.
You can find the cheapest casket. It doesn't matter because you have to pay for the time of funerals. You have to pay for the casket itself, even if it's the cheapest one.
How much is it to cremate someone?
It's like $500. That's it.
Are you sure?
I'm making that number up, but I want to say it is significantly.
That seems like a lot even to cremate somebody.
It's cheaper to cremate someone than it is to even purchase a cheap casket, and then that's also not on top of, like, again, a funeral of and if you want to, I think personally, I think this is a generational thing, but like, I know my grandparents' generation and stuff, like, they're really into having, like, a viewing and stuff, and, like,
I don't like that.
I don't want that. Like, I think that's I've been to a couple, and it makes me so uncomfortable to see a body but know there's no soul in it. Like, that creeps me out.
Never thought about that.
And it's just
one time, my Uncle Keith. One time he died. He did die one time.
Oh no!
And the makeup artist
that was my next point.
Painted him orange. He was orange, and my mom was like kind of crying but kind of laughing. Like, my whole family was just kind of laughing because they're just like, he's orange. He's laying here orange.
Because they have to. So then again, you have to prepare a body, which also costs money. Yeah. Embalming it, that drains your every color, so they have to overcorrect like crazy to make you look like you're not white and dead.
It's hard enough while I'm alive to get my foundation to match.
Honestly, dude, for real, could you imagine with no blood? Anyways, it's just so expensive for no reason, and I'm not even going to be aware of it, so don't waste the money. That's my thought. Like,
that's true.
If you want to have like a celebration or something that's of life, like, go for it, but don't make it a thing with like a whole head, like a extravagant headstone or whatever. Just, like, honestly, cremate me and throw me in the wind. Like, I'm not gonna care.
I don't like when the wind blows back the ashes too, and then it's in your mouth. I've seen that. Oh, that is so truly disgusting. The most horrendous thing I've ever seen online. Yeah, same.
Tummy
bug for me, right there.
Instant tummy bug right there. However, I say this now, I still want to be cremated, but you brought up a good point about being ashy and dusty. Cremate me with equal parts ashes and Vaseline. Put all of that in my urn. That was in my head. That was so much funnier. And then after I said it and saw your face, I immediately regretted it.
That is so gross. And it also is so funny. I love the reel, and I'm gonna do this perfectly. Watch. They pour the ashes. They pour the ashes into the ocean, and the fish are like, "Why is it spicy?"
Spicy. Yes. I have not recovered from the immediate and dead silence that just happened after I said
I don't like that you want
parts Vaseline.
Why not mix it like with water? Why would you use Vaseline?
Because I love Vaseline so much.
Ew. No.
I always have Vaseline on my person somewhere, some way.
And you always will.
And I will. And it will become part of me when my ashes are
just
intertwined.
A gelatinous ash is Melissa. You're not even going to be able to sink to the bottom of the ocean. You're going to like float on the
Wait, I don't want to. I have a healthy respect for the ocean. I do not want my ashes to be put in there.
So then what? You want your Vaseline ashes to be buried? You can be buried next to my body.
That can be in your backyard. Yes, you can bury my Vaseline ashes in someone's backyard.
Both of us will float to the top when it rains, but one of us looks very different.
But only one of us will cause a jail time. So, which is worse?
Oh my gosh, I'm dead. Okay.
Wow. All right, we need to get back. So, yes, I do think that she would kill him, but before she could, she was stopped by Nezrin, whom Arobin told that Aelin would betray them by attempting to kill Dorian. Freaking Arobin. I hate him so much. The mind games, I can't. Because here's to me, that's even further proof that Selena would have killed Dorian, is because Arobin knows her thought process, so he knows that she would try, which is why he said something to Kale and Nezrin to make him look better, make her look like the bad guy, pit everyone against each other because he's a freaking puppet master and I hate him. And that's it.
Okay. That was worth it.
Then
he's bad.
Thank you. Then Lysandra and Kale help Aelin and Aedion return to Lysandra's apartment, where Lysandra then discovers Aelin's identity as the Terrasen heir. So now she is fully looped in on the inner workings of everything going on, and she is, at this point, I'm trying to remember, because I was so skeptical of her for a long time, but I think at this point I'm like, all right, she's in. This is around the time where I'm like, I don't think
Lysandra's in.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing anymore.
It's hard to say, but I think that I truly love a friendship turnaround almost more than an enemies to lovers situation. When girls are catty to each other and whatever, but then they end up being the best of friends at the end of a movie or a book, I'm so sold. I'm so sold.
That is
I love
so true. Me too. Honestly, that's so true. I read for the romance, but if there is a enemies to friends situation between two girls, or mostly girls, I don't really care about guys. Yeah. Absolutely, I'm here for it. Love those two.
Ugh, it was so good. Okay.
Cool. All right. So Elide, we find out, is a Terrasen noble who hates her uncle Vernon because he stole her father's claim to the title as Lord of Paranth. Aelin believes that Aelin might be dead, so she doesn't plan on returning to Terrasen if she's ever able to escape Morath. Elide is sent to deliver a letter to Manon. Manon realizes that Elide cannot read and is unaware of her witch ancestry. Also, I'm going to point out here, I have, if you listen to our Hot Goss episode and then now listen to this one, and or just last week, I flip-flop every single time I open my mouth. I have no idea if I'm going to say Manon or Manon.
I did notice you started using Manon, but the past few times you have been saying Manon, so I was a little bit surprised, but I didn't say anything.
You all are finding out at the exact same time I am which one is coming out of my mouth. So it's always a gamble. I see the word and I'm like, how am I going to say it this time? And I just wanted to call that out because I am aware that I'm saying it differently and I can't control it. And I'm just putting that on the internet. Manon learns that Duke Parrington has allied with the Valg. One of her 13, Ghislaine, that's how we say that, right? Is that how you say it?
I call her Ghislaine. But
Ghislaine?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, this is like a terrible reference, but I'm trying to remember how everyone said it with the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. It's Ghislaine Maxwell. I think this was her name. Yeah.
It's Ghislaine.
I'm pretty sure okay. Well, I think that's how you say it then, because I'm pretty sure this is how...
I don't think that was her name, though.
Oh, I thought it was, but maybe it's not. All right.
I don't want to type that in my computer, so...
Yeah, I also don't even want to talk about it any more than I already did, but I... Yeah. Anyways, she is... Of the 13, she's the one that Manon knows that she can go to for information because she's a bookworm. She likes to learn. She knows a lot about stuff. So she tells Manon that the Valg are otherworldly demons who came to conquer their world but were cast out by King Brannon of Terrasen and Queen Maeve of Doranel like millennia ago. So now
sounds
she has
a lot like a certain other villain in certain other books.
Okay, but we're not talking about that because we're not doing anything other than Queen of Shadows, Ellie.
I know, but it just should be, we don't talk about the origin of the Valg too often, so interesting.
Right. Okay, the Valg then bred with Fae, which is how witches came about, who were later shunned and feared by many until King Brannon gave them the Western Wastes as a homeland. So instead of then Manon having to pick someone from her 13 to be bred with a Valg, a Yellowlegs coven volunteers to be experimented on, and then that kind of saved her the heartache, which I was very grateful for, because I'm like, how the frick is she gonna pick one of these girls to be a literal science experiment and like an incubator at the same time. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It gives American Horror Story, and I did not like it.
No,
Have you watched American Horror Story?
Some seasons, not all of them.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
But I didn't take you for a American Horror Story watcher.
Yeah, I don't like
shocking.
it. That's why I haven't seen most of them.
Yeah. I stopped after season 3. But, yeah, this is gross.
I literally can't think of a worse form of torture for a woman than being, like, well, I don't even want to talk about how the force that would come in order for this to be possible, but then to be like a human incubator, like, that got me so deep, honestly, reading this. Like, I was so icked and angry and everything all at the same time, like, reading this part of the story. Not a fan. All right, so then moving back to our friend Dorian, he hates Aelin, even though he can't remember her name, for not killing him. He was mad that he wanted her to so badly to just end it, because he was sick of everything and being possessed and he having no control, and he just wanted to be dead. Though he fought to gain control during the 1 minute she had gifted him to ask if he was still there, the Valg prince was too strong and he was unable to do so. Chaol, at this point, is being frickin' Chaol and refuses to accept that Dorian is gone and is determined to find a way to save him. And honestly, he was annoying, but knowing that Dorian was still there, like,
he needed someone on his team. Yeah.
He did need someone to believe in him, so I will say I appreciated that about Chaol. I just didn't like how he went about, like, I don't know, how, the way he did it. I liked that someone still believed in him and that, like, there was someone fighting for him, even when Dorian himself didn't want to be alive anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that's not a point for him still at the same time, because he's still annoying, in my opinion. Chaol then goes hunting for Valg in the underground tunnels, and he finds that the tunnels are all empty, which was strange. Aelin and Aedion enjoy a proper reunion, and they get to tell each other their life stories, everything they've been up to, which was both heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. There's a new place in Rifthold called the Pits. It is essentially replacing the vaults after they were damaged and destroyed by the Valg soldiers who were pursuing Aelin when she first arrived in the beginning of the book. And it's like a pleasure hall mixed with fighting.
Hate that
Yeah,
word.
Disgusting. I think we talked about that last episode too, right?
We did. I still hate it. It holds true.
It still stands. Aiming to become a new investor for the Pits, though, Arabin summons Aelin to impress the owners by fighting a Valg commander. I can physically feel myself getting hot with how mad I am just thinking about this. So I'm moving on, otherwise I'm going to start yelling. The Valg commander reveals that many of the magical prisoners they take are experimented on in Morath. And he's telling Aelin this as they're fighting. Aelin then decapitates him, and Arabin rewards her by revealing where Sam's grave is. Like,
devastating.
Oh good, you did my bidding. Here, I'm going to throw you a bone. I'm going to tell you where your ex-boyfriend is buried. Are you freaking kidding me? First off, she's not a dog. She doesn't get a reward. I worded it like that on purpose, though, because I wanted to be angry about it. But it doesn't matter. Like, that is something she would deserve to know. That's not like a prize for doing what he told her to do. Oh, I hate it. I'm so angry. Arabin so much.
Lest we forget that Sam's death is because of Arabin as well. Yes. And so, double whammy with, I killed him, and I'll tell you where his grave is now that you've done me a little service.
Yeah. I'm so mad. I'm going to have to move on. I can feel it. I'm already yelling. All right.
Wait, real quick. Manon. When Melissa used to get mad in high school, we went to like Disney World together. Oh, I will. And we started doing things because Melissa, I don't know if you can tell, she has this little like quirky thing about her where she loves to be right. And so we would intentionally do things to make sure she was not right. So we'd be like, I don't know, that like bit on The Office where he's talking about Battlestar Galactica and Jim is like, what's that show called? Battlestar like Beat Saber or something. And Dwight's like, no. We would do that to Melissa and we'd be like, no, that's what it is. That's what it is. And she would do this little cute thing where her top lip would curl in and she would like start like shaking. And we would just like keep going until she literally turned bright red. And then we'd walk away and she'd kind of calm down and we'd start over. And you might think that that's bullying. And maybe it was.
I'm glad that you said that because I was about to be like, and I just want the world to hear that Ellie admitted to bullying me in high school. No, it's all in good fun.
This was so funny. I can't even explain to you.
If you can't tell, I'm a very reactive person, so it's not hard to get me going. And honestly, Zeke does it all the time because I've calmed down a little bit, but I'm still easy to rile up. And it's fun for me. It's not fun in the moment, but it's fun to laugh about later. And
Arabin riles you up.
And we're still friends, so.
Yeah.
Yes. It's actually a Stockholm Syndrome thing with Ellie. I don't know why we're friends still.
Oh, no.
Well, you're the one who bullied me and just admitted it. I'm just kidding.
Just the once, and just in Disney World. So honestly, a best case situation scenario.
Yeah. That's true. It made it less because we were in the happiest place on earth. All right. Back to Manon and Elide. The revelation that she has witch blood raises Elide's suspicions that her uncle plans to hand her to Duke Parrington for breeding as well. And I couldn't believe we were still talking about this in the story. I'm like, someone's already volunteered. Let's just forget that part was mentioned and move on. But here we are. Elide becomes desperate enough to escape Morath that she attempts to steal coins from Manon. And when Manon catches her, she offers her a choice. Become a witch under her protection or put her fate in Vernon's hands. So Elide chooses to embrace her witchiness and Manon welcomes her into the Black Beaks.
Oh, I was so excited.
I was excited too, but I also want to talk about this for a second because I'm starting to really like Manon at this point. Mm-hmm. But I didn't like that she was really forcing Elide's hand here. Like, as far as, like, Elide didn't want to do either of those things. The girl can barely walk. She just doesn't want to be a slave to her uncle. Like, she's not asking for anything other than to leave this. You know what I mean? It's not like she's trying to steal, like, a prized possession from Manon or anything. She's just trying to take a couple coins to catch a cart to get out of there.
And one I honestly did not consider because you're right. Yeah, she just wanted to leave. She didn't want to become a witch or do any of that. And here I was like, yeah, she's a witch now, which I might still stand behind because ultimately Manon knew, like, I think she even says in the book, like, you weren't going to get far. Like, well, yes. What did you think was going to happen? And so now she at least has these incredibly powerful 13, witches. Yeah. Who are, and so also this really, to me in the book, foreshadowed some kind of like witchy becoming of Elide where she was going to fall into this power and realize like, oh, I'm actually Iron Tooth. So I was so excited that she's kind of progressing her story in that direction now.
100%. I like the promise or potential of that, but I just remember like reading this, I was kind of like, that was kind of a dick move because I do, you're right. Like, would she have made it far? Who knows? Odds are probably not, but it's not like we know that for sure. And also, she was terrified of Manon and the witches and the wyverns and like everything that was going on. So she really just made her choose between like, do I want to keep living my life as an indentured servant to my uncle and potentially be handed off to be bred with like in some kind of creature, or do I want to spend the rest of forever, how long, in the presence of these women that freak me the freak out and are saying they're going to protect me, but I don't know because I don't
True.
who's to say if they're going to change their mind and also do the same thing to me? Like, and so I felt for her, I guess, is ultimately what it was. And I was kind of surprised that Manon did something that seemed almost mean, even though, because she just didn't seem like it made sense. But I also, like you said, though, it does make, like, I understand. She was like, there's no way. Manon didn't think Elide would have made it. She really thought that protecting her was her best chance. And so I got over it eventually once that part came to light. But I just remember, I wanted to talk about that because I remember being like, I didn't like that. But I was really excited about the potential for her to come into power and, like, become maybe, I don't know, maybe the 14. Who knows? Yeah. All right, moving on back to Rifthold. When Aedion heals, Aelin sends letters to Terrasen allies and the Bane to inform them and warn them to lie low. Aedion anticipates upholding the Terrasen tradition and swearing the blood oath to Aelin, which he's been promised for his entire life. And when I read that, no. When I read that, I turned into that emoji, the
like wide mouth. Ew. Yeah.
Aedion was unaware that Rowan had already sworn the oath to Aelin, which I was double.
Yeah.
We know this. Aelin knows this. Rowan knows this. Everyone knows this. Like, I mean, he obviously swore the blood oath, so he knows it, but he doesn't know that whatever. We all know this. We all know that this already happened, except for Aedion. And so we're all just, like, reading this. Okay, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
I felt super confused because Aedion kept, like, for several chapters, kept talking about how he can't wait to swear the blood oath and he'll be the first one. And there was no mention of the fact that Rowan had already done it. And so then I actually got confused, like, wait, did Rowan actually swear the blood oath, or was it another oath he swore? So I went back to the other book to reread because I was like, how come no one is telling Aedion? Like, I was just as in the dark as Aedion, because I'm like, why isn't anyone saying anything? They're all acting like, oh yeah, you know, someday you will. And then, like, no one was mentioning this. And then it comes to be realized that they just were intentionally not trying to hurt his feelings. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, it's so awkward.
But also, like, LOL at how you got gaslit along with Aedion, and you actually even already knew the answer, though, like, what had happened.
Some good writing, because I was confused.
Oh man. Okay, so then the Valg soldiers kill everyone inside Rifthold's Shadow Market with fire as a message to Aelin while they were all at the market. And it was a whole big explosion. It was a thing, and it was messy. Aelin then follows the Valg commander into the sewers, where he meets with a Wyrdhound creature controlled by the king. And I also want to touch on this again really quick. I remember reading this part and thinking, my goodness, what? Because at this point, there were word marks, word keys, and now there's Wyrdhounds.
There are quite a few different things, yes. I was also getting really lost in the sauce.
Yeah, I got a little confused at this point with all the word things.
Word play.
There it is. And I also was a little annoyed at that. I think this was the only first part where I was like, all right. Like, did we really need to add this more into this story? Like, there's a lot happening already. Like, I don't think we need the mention now of, or introduction of Wyrdhounds.
And the dynamic was confusing as well, because, you know, word keys are supposed to be all powerful, and I guess maybe open. I was really unclear on what even they did. Then the word marks could kind of do everything, but also not really helpful. Like, they were kind of a weakness, but kind of a strength. They're above magic. They're an old ancient thing. And then you have Wyrdhounds and it was just like, and even like, okay, and then we talk about the Valgs. And so then you have like the Valg princes and then the Valg like regulars. And that was confusing too. Because I'm like, I don't understand the hierarchy and how are there so many princes? Or maybe there weren't. Yes. But I was just lost.
3. Like, yeah, there was. Yeah, I agree with you. That all if I really stop and think about like all of the things going on, I can't decide if I'm just confused and don't fully understand it, or if it feels like there's opportunity for plot holes. But I don't want to think about it too much because I love this series.
I know.
So
I'm willing to turn a blind eye.
I can turn a blind eye to this. Aelin confirms that the Valg do not know Aedion's whereabouts by overhearing the conversation. And then she spends the night out at the taverns with Aedion and Nezrin. And as they're walking home, none other than Rowan M.F.ing Whitehorn appears in Rifthold. And I immediately turned into the gif of that little boy screaming. I want to say it's at a hockey game, but I can't confirm. But he's like, like that was me when I'm reading it. And it's funny because I think this moment right here, when he just showed up, that and how excited I got, that's when I realized how much I liked his character. Like that for me was a turning point. Because I actually, at the end, I said this in our Era Fire episodes, but like I genuinely was super content with how things left between Rowan and Aelin at the end of Era Fire. I wanted him to come with them because I liked like him being a part of the storyline and I thought he would be helpful, but I liked the friendship that they had. Like I thought I liked it more than a romantic interest. I really was the way she wrote it was beautiful, and I was, if that had been the way that she had left it, I would have been totally fine. Like, I never would have thought that I needed more. But the second he showed up, I'm like, I'm excited. I need more. This is it. Like,
yeah.
Except I will say I was not down for the short hair.
I know.
It didn't matter. I still pictured him with long hair. Yeah, I didn't care how he was described.
Oh, did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
No, I did not.
Well, the main character, Jax, cuts his hair, and like his hair is kind of his one redeeming quality, but he cuts it halfway through the entirety of the show, and I think everyone was like, ugh, no, you're one good look. No, I was so excited about Rowan coming back. It felt to me like a taste of home. Like we're back. And we're just kind of doing the same thing, even though we just had this huge revelation and growth and inspiration. And now we're back again dealing with the same problems and the same people. Exactly. And it's all humans, which is kind of a bummer. And then Rowan comes and you're like, oh, it was real.
Yes.
So I loved it.
Agreed. And then now we're back to Aelin's apartment, and Rowan takes a bath and tells her that he's stowed away on a ship to come to Aurelia. Aelin then gives Rowan a pair of Sam's pants to wear and until she can buy him some new clothes. And honestly, because of who I pictured playing...
I thought this too.
I'm so glad that you did too, because the way I pictured both of these characters in my mind, and I feel like it's because of how Sarah describes them.
Yes.
I also know who I am and the fact that I take character descriptions very loosely. As I just admitted to the fact that I said I didn't care that she said he cut his hair, I still pictured him with long hair. He is Rowan is Henry Cavill as the Witcher. That is, in my mind, long hair, long whitish hair, like built, thick thighs, like big guy. And Sam is not small by any means, but he's just more of an average build, average dude. So when she said she gave him a pair of Sam's pants, in my head, I'm like, yeah, right. There's no way Sam's pants are fitting over Rowan's ham hock thighs. Like, there's no shot.
These are
fitting him.
Same. I pictured Sam with an athletic, lean build, and Rowan as more of just like exactly what you said, Henry Cavill, like built, and thought the exact same thing. I was like, thick as if his clothes are gonna fit. Yeah.
Thick with every single C possible, but like of muscle, not like big. He's just a built guy.
Yeah.
So anyways, Rowan then discovers a black velvet gown with a gold dragon embroidered on its back, and we learn that he wants to see her in it. It's just so fun for me because they're finally flirty, and I love this. This is why I read. Not really, but
because extra
my favorite
to them,
part of these books.
But distance makes the heart grow fonder, and that is not only true for the actual characters, as obviously they're now in this like more flirty stage, but also distance for us. We didn't get to read about Rowan for half the book. I don't know for half, but for a good chunk now. And now he's back, and we're like, yeah, I like him. I like him as more than a friend.
Exactly. You're right. Like the time, like exactly what you just said, and I feel like even kind of what I said earlier, like the fact that we had a third of this book without him and I didn't even think about him, but then when he was reintroduced, it felt like this was the piece that was missing. Like, yes, I actually didn't realize how much I needed this. And then, like you said, it's like home and it's all the good things. Rowan recognizes Aedion's scent once they're together, and then reveals to Aedion that his father has to be Gavriel, who was one of the Fae warriors belonging to Maeve's cadre.
I did not care for this storyline. But I don't like Aedion. I just don't care.
I just can't believe that.
And the lost like father-son. Are we watching Nemo? I didn't care for this. I didn't.
Who are you?
I know.
What?
I'm just me.
I'm just me. I'm just a girl.
If this was written in, that's great. And if it wasn't written in, that was great. It was not even like I didn't like it. I just didn't care.
I just can't understand how. I understand. I'm not going to. Never mind. We'll talk about this later. I don't understand how, especially at this point, you didn't care about Aedion. But I loved this. I was not personally a huge fan of the way Rowan was just like, hey, your dad's my friend. Like, I know it wasn't quite like that, but I'm like, he has gone his whole life without knowing who his dad is, and he's with Rowan for about half a page, and then Rowan's already being like, I think I know who your father is. I wish it was.
I don't like your Rowan voice.
Communicated.
I'm gonna need you to sound more like Henry right now if you're gonna do that again.
Who your father is.
Ew. Your ashy little Vaseline self with that voice. I hate it.
That was my attempt at a growl. You know how it says like, and he growled, whatever.
You sounded like Donald Duck was like, mad.
Why is he spicy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, why is it spicy?
Anyways, I wish it had been revealed in a more like climactic way, I think, and not just so casually. But I was excited about the prospect of it regardless. Rowan, okay, and then again, same thing. Rowan just tells Aedion who his dad is, who's never known, and then in the same breath, Rowan tells him that he's also sworn the blood oath to Aelin, which
gives
severely
him a quick
offends Aedion. Honestly, and on one hand, I'm like, oh, sweet Rowan, like he doesn't know, because he doesn't know this guy. But then on that same coin, I'm like, you don't know this guy. Maybe let's chill with the revelations for a sec. Maybe let's ask him what his favorite food is before you start ruining his life's aspirations and promises. Like, I also, on this note too, like, don't fully understand how Aelin either, because I can't remember now. I know she was like kind of avoiding having that conversation with Aedion, but I also feel like I have a weird memory of feeling like when I was reading this, she didn't realize how much it meant to Aedion. Am I making that up, or did that actually happen?
I don't remember. I feel like it was more minor.
If that's true, I don't understand how that's possible. If it's apparently some kind of like tradition in Terrasen, like she should have known then. Yeah. And I'm not saying that means she shouldn't have let Rowan swear the blood oath, but I just think she should have maybe approached it differently with Aedion and maybe been more open with him initially. Obviously, like, they just got reunited, and I'm not saying she has to do it right off the bat the way Rowan did it, but I just think like there was it had already been brought up. Like, there was plenty of opportunity for her to have gracefully had that conversation with him, and she just didn't, and I don't understand why she handled it the way that she did.
I think she didn't do anything wrong until she knew that that's what Aedion wanted, and then didn't say anything.
Agreed.
Then a conversation could have been had. But honestly, I feel like also Aelin really can't do a lot wrong in my eyes, so this is on Aedion. He should have not been so high-hoped.
Aedion really should have known that thing he was promised as a kid and that tradition that everyone in his family and country has had was actually up for grabs. Honestly, he should have known that it wasn't guaranteed.
He should have known she was alive.
He should have assumed that she would have reserved that for someone who needed it to break their own blood oath.
That's
honestly,
on
so
him,
the fact
honestly.
that he did. This is a personal problem. No, so then Rowan, again, just 1-2-1, he does another one. Then he also tells them that Lorcan, who is the second strongest Fey warrior in the cadre, has also come to Aurelia in search of Aelin and the word keys. Mm-hmm. They then decide to share her room for the night, and Aelin teases Rowan by wearing a revealing nightgown to bed. I really thought something was going to go down here, but I'm glad it didn't. Because I like the suspense that it built.
Yeah, slow burn.
So the next morning, Aelin apologizes to Aedion about the blood oath and says that she's willing to take more than one if he still wishes to swear it. And again, like, the sentiment is sweet, but I'm just like, I still like that's still kicking him while he's down. Like, but it's okay because like you can still do it if you want. Like that's kind of the way. Like,
but it wasn't like, yes, reading it like that, and ultimately that was the gist of the conversation. But she said, like, traditions are old and we're trying to do something new here. And so with that new thing, like, Maeve has multiple, why can't I? And I liked that the way she worded that. Again, she can do no wrong. So if if Aedion's still going to be all butthurt, then that's on him and not on Aelin and not on me.
Not on me. All right, I see your point. I allow it. Aedion, but he eventually gets over it because he agrees that he will after she's crowned queen. I think that's like, I felt like that was his like
fine
little bit at a grasp of control on this. Like, fine, I will, but you have to do this first. Like,
yeah.
And then Dorian, sweet Dorian, gives up and relinquishes complete control of his body to the Valg prince. This was so sad. His whole storyline in like this first part of the book was really hard to read. She does a really great job as we've seen from ACOTAR and everything, just with writing the internal struggles that people have. And this just, even though I personally have never struggled with this thought process, I know so many people have, which is so sad. And I feel like this was the most I've ever understood that feeling from not personally experiencing it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but what do you see what I'm exactly talking about?
Well, like, okay, so he's giving up. He's essentially giving up his, like, he in a way is dying because he just gives up control of his body. He's calling it quits. So like, he's not killing himself, but he's 100% given into the idea of his life being over and just being done and eventually, like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like I've never personally gotten to that point in my life, but this is the closest I've come to understanding what that could feel like in the way that she wrote. Does that make sense? Like, that's what I was trying to say.
Yes. I see. Okay.
Yeah. Manon has been denied access to the Yellowlegs coven that Duke Parrington has been experimenting on, so she is not happy and storms into his tent to confront him, which is when she witnesses Kaltain wielding Shadowfire, which is a dark magic that, quote, summoned only pain as if it tricked the body into thinking it was being incinerated, which she was doing to a soldier to torture him. She was just practicing on this poor person to show the Duke what she could do. That power freaks me out too. Like, the idea of that.
That's
like,
so
it
interesting.
It doesn't look like anything is wrong, but it is described as being so painful that like, the pain is what kills people, and I don't like it. That is creepy, and I don't want to like think about that.
Yeah, that's super interesting that this chapter came up, because this is essentially what most of our Hot Goss episode was about. So it's like, how coincidental.
I know. Yeah, totally. Parrington then reveals that Manon's grandma, the Blackbeak matron, has been working alongside the Yellowlegs and Blueblood matrons to forge a weapon for Parrington's armies. Elide notices someone is waiting for her inside her room, which freaks her out. So she thinks it's her uncle gonna steal her to go for the breeding. So she sleeps in the Eyrie underneath the wing of Abraxos, which was sweet, but even though she was literally about to crap her pants the whole time. When Manon catches Elide trying to sneak out of the Eyrie, Manon then orders her to see, and this goes along with the, like, I understand that she thinks she's doing what's best for Elide, but I'm like, I don't understand how she thought this would be best for her. She sees Elide trying to free herself and just be her own person. So instead, she makes her sneak into the chambers where the Yellowleg Coven are being kept to find out what's being done to them. That is the exact opposite of what she's trying to do and what she wants.
Yep.
But she's like, no, I can't get in there, so you do it. Like, are you kidding me? And then in return, Elide is allowed to continue to sleep in Manon's room then for protection. Mm-hmm. So she does it. And while she's doing that, she finds her uncle assaulting Kaltain in private, which was disgusting. Didn't need to read about
Kaltain.
that.
Yeah.
I know. And so Elide, and I hate the way Kaltain is described in this too, because Elide is even like, there's nothing. Like, there is nothing going on. She is a vacant
She's gone.
shell of a body, essentially. Like, which is devastating. So Elide rescues her, which pisses off her uncle, and then returns to Manon's room to request poison. I feel like she was starting to get a little bit of a backbone here, though, with this, and I did like reading about that. Aedion then begins training with Rowan, because he's intent on learning the warrior's fighting style. And Lysandra then brings clothes for Rowan to the apartment and mentions that the missing magic wielders from the city have been recently spotted in prison wagons headed for Morath. Aelin asks how long Lysandra must work as a courtesan to pay off Evangeline's debts, and Lysandra tells her that Madame Clarice tripled the amount. Which is
crazy. I
know. And so then Aelin offers to kill Clarice for Lysandra. And I thought that was so funny. She's like, well, let me kill her then. But Lysandra says no, because she's like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I already committed to it. And we respect a girl and her. I don't know. If I was Lysandra, I would have been like, yes, please. Honestly, I don't think I would have declined like what she did. Aelin then senses Lorcan monitoring her apartment in the middle of the night, so she sneaks out without telling Rowan and leads him to a den of Valg meeting, and there was a Wyrdhound there as well. And she wanted to see if they could be killed, which she finds out they can, because Lorcan does kill all of them. Mm-hmm. And then she got that little piece of at first I'm like, what is she doing? And then when we realized, like, we are also the last to be included in all of her plans, just like how everyone else is. And I kind of hated it, but kind of liked it at the same time. So I was like, everything came together then. And when he finds her again, he threatens her life, and Aelin threatens him right back, saying she'll kill Lorcan someday for whipping Rowan in Doranel at Maeve's orders. The Valg prince possessing Dorian makes him watch men suffer daily in the dungeons. And that's it. That's where we're ending. And I told you, I warned you in the beginning, this is a really crappy chapter to end on. And I honestly thought about just like not even talking about it, but because I specifically said we ended on this chapter, I felt like I had to include it. But it's like, it's not a super long chapter, and it's just Dorian being forced to watch people suffer in dungeons, and like kind of admitting that like he hates every part of this and doesn't want to be here anymore, and like it's sad, so sad. And I'm like,
SJM writes torture really, really well.
She does, man. She does write torture so well. And just mental health and torture, I would say, are two of her strengths when it comes to writing. Which I don't know what that says about
I think
her,
she just,
but
like, I think she just, like, really drags out the torture scenes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like, most books, I mean, we talked about Fourth Wing. You know, some of the torture scenes, they were talking like 1 or 2 chapters max. These torture scenes, true. I mean, Dorian's already been in prison for the last, like, chapter or 2 of the last book, and now we're on chapter 37 of this book. It's with no end in sight so far. It's so long,
and it just keeps getting worse for him.
It's unimaginable. It's a very, like, Black Mirrors-esque type of torture where it's just, it never ends and there's no end in sight, and where you think, like, oh, I'm maybe getting free. Like, Aelin was right there ready to end it for him and didn't get to. So
you're specifically talking about that one episode with the hologram too, aren't you?
I kind of am referencing all of them. I think they all have just a really rough, like, well, the bear one
true.
where she's trapped inside watching. That's true. And yeah, there's quite a few. Like
that's so true. I forgot about the bear one. The first one that popped into my mind was the museum where the girl's dad was trapped, being electrocuted forever.
Yeah.
And nope, couldn't do anything about it, and it like fried his brain. Oh, I love Black Mirror so much. It's so
trippy.
Out of pocket, I think, for me to like, but I love how, well, one, you're kind of like on the edge of your seat the whole time, so it definitely like keeps you engaged, but it also is so, like, the concepts are so out there that I'm like, who thinks of this? And I think it's so fascinating.
Until this newest season, I don't know who the heck decided to take over, but this was wrong. The way they did Black Mirror this last season was wrong. It does not mind bend. It is just a basic story, and they sucked. The story sucked, and you may quote me on that. Anyways, have a great week, everybody.
Wasn't the strongest. Yeah, that's true. All right, well, yeah, again, follow us on Instagram if you don't. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate the support. It's been a lot of fun. We hope you guys are enjoying this as well as as much as we are. Next week we will be doing part 3 of Queen of Shadows. Ellie, remind me what those chapters are. 38 through
I mean, I guess it's 50 something.
2 is my guess. Let's see.
It's on our Instagram, so if you're
56.
ever in doubt, there you go, 56.
38 through 56. That will be next week. Also on Monday, we will have another episode of Hot Goss with Unpopular Sauce. TBD, we haven't decided what exactly we're doing, so TBD on what that will be, but it will be something juicy, I'm sure, because we have a lot of ideas on the docket that we've talked about looking into. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited, and I hope everyone has a great week.
Bye. Everyone.